YouTube. We're painting some Devil's Brigade for Bolt Action 3.0. Got a British, Canadian, something allied starter box. Some inter-allied commandos. Built all this Monday. Started painting between Monday and yesterday. We're just picking out some webbing, some other bits of the kit with some desert sand, desert yellow. Jamming some Sabaton. Day before Thanksgiving. Thankful as shit to be doing what I love. Manage restaurants on the side, but hobby time. Hobby time is what I'm most thankful for this year. Usually paint about 1,000 points of bolt action a month, or equivalent tabletop ready war game armies, so to be able to have that kind of time to set aside to focus is super cool. Glad that that's finally come to fruition, that my schedule just is giving of that right now. Let's see if any of the cats want to disturb us, but I think we'll be able to crank out a lot of this afternoon. We've already gotten most of the blocking done. We have to do some rifles, some boots, gun barrels, but once that's all out the way, we can start washing and sealing this stuff before we base it all. No highlights. This is World War II, not heavy metal. We opted for a lot of the team bases for any of these weapons teams, so we got the Piat anti-tank rifle, whatever that kind of contraption is. We've done light machine guns with the Vickers light machine gun teams. And then some light mortar teams. Just as much of that as I could. Just the HMG or medium machine gun teams. Feeling a little under the weather today. Spent all last weekend directing traffic in the kitchen, just calling checks, that sort of thing. Running my shift on Saturday. We're vaping pretty hard every night, and I just feel like shit from just the lifestyle choice. Weather's getting cold down here. And yeah, feels like winter. Time to hibernate and paint minis. Eager to run this list. Maybe in the aftermath of our Escalation League, we're doing, we did a 750, we're on 750 points right now, but started a Bolt Action Escalation League in end of September, October, that we were eagerly awaiting the 3.0 rules for, but started at 500 points, played for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, something like that. Had underwhelming success with my Italians, cobbling together an army list using the rules for the Germans in version 3, since I don't have updated nation rules for the Italians for 3rd edition Bolt Action. So we're not trying to spam too much of the German rules. The extra Snap 2 action, super cool with officers. the Hitler's buzzsaw. I've been just jokingly calling Mussolini's buzzsaw for the +1 shoot for the light machine guns and medium machine guns, but the rest of it I'm trying to play as generically as possible. I mean, historically, the Italians are good artillerists, had a lot of outdated tech from the First World War, but were otherwise fairly useful in some mountain climbs. Not so much in Africa. So we're running a rifle platoon, a heavy weapons platoon with just fistfuls of mortars. And it seems to have been fairly effective for most matches that I've gotten to at 750 points, that I can afford to run 3 medium mortars, 2 light mortars, a couple anti-tank rifles, and then something like 30 to 40 infantry for my Italians. But I think as we pick up this Canadian Devil's Brigade and try to formulate some usable army list, I think this is going to be the way forward, is the rifle with the heavy weapons teams. Because right off the rip, I mean, a medium machine gun and mortars, whether they're all light mortars, which I've got 4 light mortars here, will be a nice complement for kind of a mostly infantry list. I think being able to move and shoot with mortars has been useful with the light mortars. Otherwise, I think just running overwhelming numbers of infantry, some more specialized weapons. I mean, these anti-tank options, these Piats or bazookas or whatever the faction can include, have been pretty successful as far as just putting pins on vehicles, deterring bigger threats without having to take any sort of like serious anti-armor. I think these guys are running 30 points apiece, so kind of disposable, but getting these small teams and getting those extra activation dice are going to be super useful. I think for just kind of influencing the draw, gaming each turn. I think even at 750 points, my Italian's running about the same kind of platoons, whether it's the rifles and the heavy weapons, are running 13 activations. I'd like to get that beyond that into like 15 to 20. But I think putting the points into these kind of souped up commando units, whether it's like I will do an SMG vet, FSSF, kind of nod to the real Devil's Brigade, the little dirty dogs, Canadian American Joint Force that took on the Japs, took on the Germans, whether it was the Aleutian Islands or in Norway. Just a bunch of bastards, but I did want some more specialized units that could really hold up for a while. So I do have 10 veteran SMGs with a light machine gun team, and I will pay for the Vickers for the extra shot. But we'll see how those guys pan out. But I think otherwise, the other lists I've been seeing, I mean, folks are sacking a lot of points into armor. Just think it seems debilitating for a mostly infantry-based game. To score objectives, you need infantry on position. So whether it's infantry weapons teams or infantry themselves, I think it's just more useful than dumping a fraction of your points into a vehicle. We've seen that troop transports, trucks, by and large, just blow up on a 6+, so even getting shot by rifles is kind of a game over on turn 1 for deploying these troop transports. Unless we see some other sort of meta shift with bolt action, otherwise it just seems like it ain't happening for the vehicles. I'd like to get to some more tournament scale events than just like our the dozen or so guys that meet locally. Seen a couple posted up online, whether it was in Georgia. There's a big meetup for bolt action, and I think quite a few other games sometime in February. undecided if we're going to that. It's I think 500 points on that Friday, just easy third edition kind of skirmishes and things like that. But I think the rest of the weekend is 1,250 point lists, some kind of serious grand tournament for bolt action. So would love to be part of the action. Don't know how my wife and I are kind of spending our late winter here, but I've got a couple of trips back home I gotta make, siblings getting married, that sort of thing. So gotta kind of delineate our priorities here. So I could definitely get my fill of bolt action around here. Maybe next year we'll pick up the pace with some of the tournament scene, but maybe there's something closer than 5 or 7 hours away. I've just been jamming Sabaton, I think, for weeks to just get in the mode for painting and playing historic war games. I think if it was like some grimdark Warhammer type projects, I'd probably be listening to more tech death, some more atmospheric type stuff, some gent, deathcore, whatever. A little bit more fanciful, but Sabaton's just killing it for me right now. Every song's a banger. We're trying to find the secret, like the Fibonacci sequence of how to build these infantry boxes right now for 3rd edition, because it seems like there's just a terminal number of riflemen you'll need. Most armies, I don't know whether it's just saving on points that it's not as useful to have like an SMG officer in some of these rifle teams. If you're playing British, you're getting an extra shot per 3 rifles, so having a rifle captain or NCO in your little squad might do you well to do, 13 shots instead of 12 at, effective rifle range. But from these boxes of 30, it seems like 16 rifles, 8 SMGs, and then just kind of kitting out whatever sort of special weapons teams you might need out of the remainder of the box has been pretty useful. Bought the American Battle of the Bulge box. I think some of those pics are on my YouTube channel. Need to share more of those, but 30 infantry, I think I ended up making an officer team, a sniper team, a bazooka team, a forward artillery observer, and then I think it was 3 infantry sections with a light machine gun, an officer with SMG, and 7 rifles. The light machine guns all have a loader, so that's just another rifleman, I suppose, but something like that. These guys have these big old knives, which historically, I guess, the Canadians, their NCOs had a light or submachine gun. They had either another second lieutenant or another NCO in each squad that had a knife, big old machete to direct traffic or whatever. So we're trying to peek into this historically a little bit beyond just building plastic minis, but these kits have been pretty cool. Warlords really turned it up since I got into this maybe last year, buying the Soviet starter army. Some of those sculpts are a little doofy, they're a little dated looking. Luckily they still, I think, have the same kind of efficacy as far as specialized weapons, whether it's anti-tank rifles or sniper rifles. There's a lot of rifle platoon support in those boxes. Light machine guns, that kind of thing. Which I will say, I think the meta creep of 3rd edition bolt action is a lot of light mortar teams, and double dipping on the light machine gun teams, putting 2 to a squad. So you're getting more bang for your buck, more shots per unit. You can have low model counts with high output. It's been pretty useful. most especially I think for German players. I think as my Italians, I'm running two 10-man rifle teams and then two, I think they're 10-man now. They're rifle teams, but there's two light machine guns. So we're putting a lot of shots out. I'm running two of those light machine gun sections. So they're definitely dealing a lot of wounds. They're putting a lot of pins on enemies. They're screwing things up for some dedicated weapons teams, mortars, that sort of thing, on the back line since they've got some more reach. But that's been pretty big, I think, for just moving the needle one way or the other, that I can kind of sit at range, especially with my Italians who I don't necessarily have equipped for assault or close combat. I just want to kind of guard my back line, my 5 mortar teams sitting way back with some officers, but sometimes you do have to get out and make things happen, so it's been nice, especially with the light mortars, to move and fire, get in position. Last game was fought over a tunnel network mountain or hill kind of bunker that was built up to have like 2 levels plus the hillside. So light mortar team was able to put shots out from the cave entrances, and I had artillery observers, 3 submachine guns putting shots down from the hill, which is hard to approach from my my opponent, the Lieutenant Angus, playing the British 8th Army. We meet every Wednesday at Hangar 18 Hobbies in Cary, in the North Carolina. But yeah, the small teams have been pretty shooty. Just filling out webbing and packs and bits with Desert Yellow. Got to do some rifles and boots, gun barrels, any kind of metallics. We're just doing just black gray, and then I've got to do some the USA Canada Devil's Brigade little arrowhead patches on their left shoulder. So we painting tiny little triangles, I think, is the last step of this whole process, but should just be one little bit of highlights to step these guys up. Oh yeah. What do we got left here? Oh my god. $15, $25. Oh, nice even 30. God. Alright, well, that's great. That's the halfway point. We've done 10 stands of 2 weapon teams. We've done another 5 stands of machine gun teams, or whatever, mortars. And we've got this little meager pile of guys forming up right now. 11, huh? Here's to 30 more dudes. How are you guys doing this Wednesday? Don't care if nobody sees this. We're just trying to get an idea of how we like streaming, what works. Does this $5 camera stand work better than positioning it on my lamp, supposedly? Let's see. Some of these guys looking a little scrapped up here. Looks like some paint was rubbed off. A cat's running over all this shit. I don't know. Looks like we'll have to finish quickly or tune up a few models here. Yeah. Try as I can to be pretty clean with this. Kind of have the philosophy worked out that I start on like the lowest level of the miniature to do. I mean, surprising. I think I use more English uniform to print or paint these British than field gray, respective to my Germans. That more surface area was just English uniform, I guess. But the hope is that I'm not overlapping dark colors or putting bright colors over dark colors, that I ended up doing like the darker hats after I did the skin tones for the faces. So by the time I come ready with all my blocked out colors, I can hit them with a wash. They clean it pretty nice. And then we're done. I do not have too much patience for putting like level whatever highlights, things like that. Uh-oh, there goes the guy. I don't know, this is my favorite buddy. My observer captain, but I squished his Enfield bayonet. It's a little crooked. Yeah, I just don't have the time to go back in and do so much with these. I really just want to be able to get them battle ready looking and then get them playing, because frankly they're just going to get kicked around a tabletop, thrown in a box, put in my car. I want them to look good, I want them to hold up, but I'm already putting so much time into this. I don't want to slow it down too much, you know. I like the final result as is. If it was like a single officer or a weapons team that I kind of wanted to do up a little fancy, I might spend a little bit more time with them, but generally it's just cleaning up edges, stuff that I've blocked out previous that was just a little messed. Especially skin tones, stuff that's going to be a little bit more transparent. Just want a little bit more opacity. These guys are super pink. They are white dudes. The British. Well, I guess Canadians, respectively. Cool. These guys are going to get some kind of rough and tumble marshy bases. We're going to do some grass bushes on these. The bulge Americans I've done that'll pair up nicely alongside these guys on the table. Oop, there he goes. Put a little bit of snow texture on the basing. I just think that these with the same kind of flocking scheme I do. It's mostly just black tea and oregano and thyme and parsley and static grass, while organic looking, will match up nicely with other bases with the same mix, even if they've got snow on them. So these little swampier looking ones can kind of be transported, you know, across several different theaters or table environments, that sort of thing. I think we'll see. Trying to crank these out this afternoon. I've got bolt action crew meets at 5, so I think we've got some time to crank these guys out. We'll see. I'm gonna grab some late breakfast lunch activity here, maybe in a little bit, but need to get some drugs, get me feeling a little bit more alive for these games this afternoon. Bolt action. Let's go. Previous to the Escalation League, we were picking up on Cruel Seas, the Warlord Games kind of naval patrol boat, E-boat, U-boat type combat. Honestly, a lot of fun just trying to learn the mechanics of driving little ships around, not colliding with islands or each other or whatever, but uses the same kind of random order dice activation that Bolt Action is famous for. So it was a lot of fun, even with a handful of ships, just to play out these little scenarios, whether it's like beach assaults or kind of search and rescue things. Buddy Angus was playing some Americans. I had a Soviet flotilla and did pick up the plastic 2-player starter, so I had the plastic Kriegsmarine boats and British, I think it was British U-boats, patrol boats, something, torpedo. Alright, we're going to take a little break. Thank you guys for taking a peek at this. Just take a look back whenever.